We will call this meeting to order. Happy New Year. So as we always do with our meetings, I'd like to welcome everyone. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Director Alex Cook. Please rise, remove your hat if you happen to have one. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We have a nice crowd again, so thank you for being here on 2025, another year. Yeehaw. Okay. Let's verify that we've got a quorum.
Director Cook?
Here.
Director Bill?
Here.
Director Commission?
Here.
Director Doherty?
Here.
President Van Vliet?
Here?
Hearing 5 and quorum met.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So let's begin with the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written for the December 3rd board meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's time for public official comments. So Director Burke, would you come on up?
Thank you, President Van Vliet, board members, staff, neighbors, friends. I'll try and keep it short, but there's a lot going on in water right now. So first, I'd just like to say that we reelected Chance Edmondson as the president of EVMWD. So when you see him, give him your deepest empathy and sympathy. So he has another year to serve as president. And we also swore in Matt Dobler as our newest director. So he's trying to learn by the fire hydrant at the moment. So give him a little grace as well. I also wanted to mention that I know that we're working on trying to find a joint meeting sometime this year between the city, the POA, and the water district. We've done that in the past. I think it's helpful for residents when they can figure out who's responsible for what and ask us all questions at the same time. Obviously, the city and the water district run our meetings based on the Brown Act. So it always kind of makes for an interesting meeting, but I think it's really helpful for our residents that when we do get that scheduled, I think it's important. Mayor Mark Terry from the city and I will be hosting coffees again every month, but this year it's going to be a little different. So for January, because January 1st was on a Wednesday, we actually are having our first coffee next Wednesday, the 15th. On the 16th, we're going to do a conversation at the country club with Senator Kelly Ciarto. So he's flying back early from the Capitol and going to give us a recap of what's happened in the first 3 weeks of session, which is great because the governor should have his budget out this Friday. So we'll at least get to hear firsthand. So that's 6 o'clock at the Canyon Lake Country Club. There's no charge. The mayor and I will provide appetizers, but if you want any type of alcoholic refreshment, that's on you. So again, that's next Thursday with the senator. And we're going to try and invite elected officials from a variety of different levels to either come every other month, either for coffee or in the evening, depending on their schedule, including Congressman Calvert, supervisors, so that our residents have an opportunity to interact and ask questions when it's convenient for them and get maybe a better relationship or an understanding of what's going on at different levels that we as the local have to live with, right? That you don't get to make the rules, you just get to implement the rules. So we are also kicking off our budget conversation, which means that we'll also probably have a rate conversation. I think I mentioned to you that the capacity fee failed. And so we're going to have to revisit that because those expenses don't go away. We're going to have to figure out what we're not going to build or what we can delay or how else we can do it, which leads me to talk about something that I've been asking for 5 years, which is a way to find alternative revenue sources. We're pretty good about it in some ways. We use our cell tower leases to fund our rate assistance program for those residents that are unable to pay for their water and sewer bill. 40% of our service area is severely disadvantaged. And the average water and wastewater bill for a family of 4 in our service area is over $200 a month. That's significant. And I'm sorry, we can do better. We have to do better. But when your chemical bills go up 800% in a year, and energy, I don't have to tell you all about energy. We live in an electric city here, right? So, and the largest customer of energy in Southwest Riverside County is us. I have 77 different pressure zones. And when you flush your toilet, it goes down, but eventually I have to move it up. And that's not, I'll say seamless. And I'll just leave it at that. So there's a lot of weight to that, and I have to move it a long way. So that takes energy. So we're going to engage with a very innovative group out of Washington, D.C. that helps you identify potential ways to generate non-rate revenue, make all your assets work for you, and not burden your customers additionally. So we'll see what that comes up with. But if I don't think we have to do our homework now. Meanwhile, it's been a little dry here, but not up north, which is where we get the majority of our water. 85% of our water comes from the State Water Project. So they've had a lot of rain, they've had a lot of snow. Our initial allocation is only 15%. That doesn't surprise me. They've been very conservative in rolling that out. What does that mean? That means you get to pay for 100% of the water in your contract, which is about just under $800 million a year through Metropolitan. But you're promised right now 15% of that. That doesn't mean you're less thirsty or you wanted to wash your clothes less often. That means if we were to only get 15%, we'd have to use what's in storage, which right now is at record levels, or we'd have to go buy it on the open market. And if anybody remembers Adam Smith for their economics class, supply and demand kind of dictate the price. So it's always very important to see what our allocation is. That water is a higher quality water. Colorado River is very contentious right now. The current agreement we have, which is a congressional act, expires in 2026. And the last meeting I was at, the upper basin states and the lower basin states couldn't even sit on the same stage together. So that's how far apart we are. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Darcy? I have one.
Okay.
So the lake levels are lower than normal. I guess probably not abnormally low for this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
What is our projected rainfall this winter? Any idea?
None.
Okay.
So I'll tell you a wives' tale, though. If you ask a water resource expert, is it going to be wet or dry? He or she will say yes. I ask every year and they say yes. So I'm a fan of the Farmer's Almanac. I don't know if anybody else is. I love the Farmer's Almanac. There's I'm going to say practice in there that if you are able to get a persimmon in your area and you cut the persimmon in half, it has to be from your region, you will see in the middle of that persimmon 3 potential visuals: a knife, a fork, or a spoon. Last year, we saw a spoon and we had record rainfall, which it means it's abundant. A fork means it's kind of average. A knife means it's going to be bitter cold and cutting dry. So we actually videotaped cutting a persimmon at the Water District at our last board meeting, and I had 2 knives. So if I listen to my Mother Nature indicator for here in this region, it'll be dry. But again, most of the water we get doesn't come from here. It comes from up north. So
The reason I asked that question is being from the Midwest originally, I understand and know the Farmer's Almanac and have read it for many years. And I looked at it, and it says we're going to get 2 weeks of rain in mid-February, and that's about it. And the last time this happened, we got about 2 inches total, which means that our lake may go up a foot or 2 from its current levels, and then kind of be that for the rest of the year, which means it's going to be lower levels for everybody and all the challenges that go with that.
right.
So people ought to hope for better, but might be a dry, cold winter.
So you might want to plan for that seawall improvement that everybody was complaining about last summer.
True.
And then maybe no one will call me on Easter and ask me to lower the lake so they can take their family and friends on a tour
That's
through the
probably
tunnel.
true.
So plan ahead.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Darcy. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. I'm going to pull a switcheroo on the agenda, if you don't mind, since we have such a good audience here. And we actually have 4 announcements, and they're very important. So I want to have everyone pay attention or hear the announcements, both here and or online. And the first one is you're going to be getting a mailer. They'll be going out next week from today, a week from yesterday. If we pass the resolution on electronic voting, you will be getting a letter in the mail to every member. In that one, it says we're going to electronic voting with the next election, which will be in May. Because we're going to electronic voting, everyone is going to be opted in, which means the default is that you will go do it by electronic voting. If you do not want to do it electronically or by clicking the link that's on the mailer that you get, then you can opt out for a paper ballot and submit that in. So I want everyone to know, watch your mail, go to your mailbox, open your mailbox, because these are coming in, and get be informed that this voting is happening. If there are any questions, at the next board meeting on February 4th, we will have the Inspector of Elections present. And so if you have any questions about what do I do, what if I lost my ballot, whatever, that was a good time to come to the next board meeting or raise questions for that. So that's item 1 that's coming forward. The second mailer you're going to get at the end of the month is a member survey. The last time we conducted a survey was 8 years ago, and we felt this board felt it was time for us to do that again. And so there will be another survey coming forward. Again, it will also be electronic, so you'll get a mailer saying, here's the link, and you can go to it. It's only for members of the association, so homeowners that belong. And you go to that link. Again, there's an opportunity to opt out of that and get a paper survey instead. But we want to encourage all members to give us your feedback. It's going to be a wide range of things of what's your experience here, how are things going, what are areas that are going well, what are areas for improvement, what should our priorities be, what about expenditures, how do you feel about dues and amenities and so forth. So there's a wide-ranging set of questions that we're asking to help this board and the next board kind of set the direction for the future. The more feedback and input we get from the community, the better the result. And so please encourage everyone you know to pay attention to that, to give us your comments and your feedback. We will be providing the output in one of our future board meetings. We'll maybe in March or April, depending on when we get the results in. We will tell you what we heard from the community. But the last time we did this, we only got about 7% participation. We would like to get as much participation as possible to really represent the whole community. So again, please, if you are a club president or a club member, please spread the word. Tell a friend and let everyone know. We do want to get your input and feedback for that. The third thing that we're doing is you may have heard, if you subscribe to our email bulletin that comes out every Thursday afternoon, we are changing our gate access provider. We are moving away from Dwelling Live. And a number of questions have come forward as to why are we moving away from Dwelling Live? Well, we've actually had very significant customer service issues with them. And there have been a period, some of you may have seen it, either AT&T or Verizon users weren't able to use Dwelling Live for a period of time. Their customer service responses sometimes take 6 months to get a resolution on an open action item. It's been very, very difficult for us to use to really control the community. And so we will be going to a new one called Go Access. They're going to start that beginning is it 13th? Also next week. Okay, so starting next week, and then look for more communication coming forward on that, on how you can do it. You'll have to download a new app on your device and be able to populate the information. But beginning next week, we're starting the transition to go to a new access. So any guests you have or member, anyone like that, whether it's a service provider or a guest, that'll all be through a new app. So new year, new things. This is also coming forward. And then the final thing is this is budget season. As we go forward, the staff has been working very hard on preparing a budget for next year. As you know, we have many headwinds, both figuratively and literally tonight. We had our insurance for the year went up 38% this year. Costs, as everyone knows in your home life, are not going down, they're going up. So there's a lot of pressures, and the staff is working very hard to put that together and to manage the budget to appropriate levels. there will be a budget workshop, okay, where all of our members can come and hear what the budget's going to be, give us your feedback, and so forth on February 18th, Tuesday, February 18th. So that's an important date. If you're interested, that's one of the more important meetings to attend if you're interested in that. With that, 6 o'clock in this room on February 18th. I know, happy birthday to me. All right, with that, let's call up our community patrol for an update.
Good evening.
Zach, welcome.
How y'all doing? So to start off, I would like to talk about November of 2024, our stats provided by Community Patrol. In the month of November, we had 5 speeding citations issued by patrol officers, 25 calls in regards to parking violations from residents, and 32 citations were issued by patrol officers. We had 47 times our gates reported individuals at our gates that did not meet the necessary requirements to enter the community, such as a driver's license or being on the guest list, and therefore they failed to comply with our order to tell them to turn around and exit the community, and they entered the community anyway, becoming unauthorized entry. 7 times that led to a citation. Another 40 times people complied and left the area. We had 17 calls in regards to e-bikes, and 9 citations were issued. We had 16 calls in regards to loud noise, with 1 citation issued in the month of November. Patrols were busy with 58 stop sign enforcements in the month of November, as well as only 1 stop for illegal riding or towing, which is riding in the back of the boat while it's traveling down the streets. We had a total of 231 calls for service in the month of November. 19 times we were unable to locate the call. 47 citations were issued to guests. 0 citations were issued to service providers, and 111 were issued to members. 72 of those citations were warnings. The speed trailer was able to go ahead and capture 138 photos that led to citations. We had 7 reports of vandalism in the community, with 10 reports of property damage, which is typically gate arm strikes that occur at the gates from when people are unable to stop for the gate for it to close, and then they end up striking it at that time. We had 39 miscellaneous violations, which go anywhere from fishing violations, golf cart violations, or just small infractions we may find while we're walking around and patrolling the community. We had 2 citations issued for people that failed to stop for a school bus stop sign being out. Our gates were extremely busy with confiscating 250 passes at the gates. These are passes that were confiscated that were not having a driver's license, they were no longer on your guest list, or they were just simply the wrong person in the vehicle and they were not on the pass at all, nor were they on the list. 6 times we were issued citations for misuse of access identification. These were times individuals handed out their POA cards to their guests or non-members and attempted to have that member or that individual use their POA card to enter the property at that time, failing to comply with the rules and regulations. Patrol officers did not have to spend any time at Main Gate or East Gate during the month of November to help with traffic, as we were able to go ahead and keep traffic down for entry at that time.
Hey, Zach,
Yes, sir.
I have a question about unauthorized entry. Can you go back and talk to us about the 47 versus 7? What did 40 people do not to get a citation?
40 people were able to comply with the rules where they ended up leaving the community, either having somebody else drive them in, they were able to go ahead and get put on the list, or whatever we needed to do to meet that need at that time. Dispatchers have actually been contacting members, trying to alert them of the fact that somebody ran the gate and they did not meet the necessary requirements. So that way we can all be on the same side to resolve the issue together.
So it sounds like you're going out of your way not to write the ticket for that. You'll follow them into the community, escort them back to the gate, go through the process.
Correct.
And those who just refuse to, then they get the citation.
Absolutely. If we are unable to get somebody to comply with the rules and they just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take the fine anyways, then we will absolutely go ahead and write it at that time. But we always provide them the option to exit the community first.
I have a question on the vandalism you said. Do you have a dollar amount on those incidents? Was there anything substantial that was reported to RSO, or was it something really small that didn't really add up for that?
In regards to the exact dollar amount, I do not have that. There was nothing that, in regards to large enough vandalism, that would require us to contact RSO. It's typically usually somebody was spray painting, scribbling on the walls, or something along those lines that was reported at that time, including clogging the toilets and stuff like that.
E-bikes, anything like that?
In regards to the golf course itself, we did not have any reports of vandalism there. We are always patrolling every night when we lock it up. We're addressing issues at that time. No citations were directly issued during that time, but we are always making contact with individuals, informing them the rules, such as please do not walk your dogs on the golf course in the middle of the night, even though it is closed. Other ones is the fact that we are not allowing access through the tunnels. We do lock them. They are not for access to and from each side of the community. They are only to be used during the times that the golf cart is open or the golf course is open. The golf course will close as soon as the sun goes down.
Thanks, Zach.
So this question, I guess, is either for Ken or for Zach. I want to ask about the failure to stop at stop signs. In November, much to the chagrin of 58 members, you issued 58 citations for that, which is more than the combined total for the prior 2 months. So my question is, I think that's great, but what was your thought process? What is your thought process about obviously continuing or to increase your enforcement of failure to stop at stop signs?
I've been looking at options for automation. I haven't found it yet, but just like we have speed trailers, I'm sure the technology is going to be out there eventually where we can get stop sign enforcement with that. We just need AI to get a little bit better and focus on that. And that's a possibility. Right now, the amount of officers that they have on patrol, they're tasking in different parks, different locations. One or two of them will park at an intersection, point the dash cam at the intersection, observe the person go through the stop sign. We don't know how often it happens when we're not there, but as you can see, it is an issue in the community. Definitely, a lot of them are. It's when they make that right turn. You know, I can see the intersection. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to make that right turn. And his officers are in the trucks with the headlights on at night. I mean, they're there and people still do it.
So if you happen to listen to social media, in the past couple of months, there were a couple of notable events that security events that happened. One was a golf cart came down Canyon Lake Drive over the causeway, and there was an accident. And the second one was there was an intruder discovered and captured off a home on Gray Fox. And I was wondering if you guys could give us a little more insight to the extent you can about what happened in each of those cases.
The golf cart was traveling northbound on Canyon Lake Drive south and was traveling down the hill into the causeway area. There were no other vehicles around, no obstructions that were seen. For some reason, the vehicle veered into the oncoming lane, striking the curb, and it rolled. And there was, I believe, an ejection, and some people had to self-extricate when the vehicle came to rest. There was medical aid rendered, a fire department responded, and that is still being investigated. It's sensitive with the riders being under 18. And fortunately, nobody got seriously injured. Unfortunately, it's the lesson learned, and hopefully others are going to listen to that, understand that, and hopefully not repeat that. When it comes to the intruder, my understanding is a passerby, a member, saw the person, notified Community Patrol. Community Patrol responded while activating RSO. Zach's team arrived on scene, interacted with the person, didn't detain, didn't put hands on. It wasn't necessary. The person wandered around the property. When RSO arrived, an arrest was made for trespassing, and he was booked in a jail.
Great, thanks. I know a lot of times these things come up on social media and people never know the outcome of them. Appreciate you giving us what information you can. I think that one's a great example of just a neighbor helping a neighbor, being aware and calling community patrol who they're not notified the sheriff to take appropriate action. So thank you for that. Any other questions from the board? Thank you guys. Appreciate your hard work. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Greg to recognize our member of the month.
So I'm really honored tonight to be in charge of presenting this award to Mr. Brian Wood, who's sitting right over there. So let me take a minute to tell you a little bit about our nominee. Brian relocated to Canyon Lake about 6 years ago after spending 40 years in Denver, where he practiced as an eye doctor and ran a successful eye care practice. Having visited family in Southern California since childhood, he discovered Canyon Lake quite by chance, as many of us have, while searching online for the best place to live in the U.S. When he and his wife Kathy first visited Canyon Lake, they knew right away this was the place where they wanted to retire. Having served on various boards and committees in Denver, he was eager to continue his volunteer work there as he believes it's the dedication of volunteers that makes Canyon Lake such a special community. For the past 4 years, he has served on the Appeals Committee and is now its chairman. He also is involved on the board of the Canyon Lake Arts Guild, where he serves as both Director of Programs and Director of Membership, working hard to bring great live music to this community. Additionally, he serves as treasurer on the HOA board of the Continental townhouses where he lives. A lifelong musician, he sang in the Colorado Symphony Chorus for 33 years and now performs with the band at the Cornerstone Church. He is also an active member of the Canyon Lake Yacht Club, the Canyon Lake Car Club, and recently became the proud owner of a classic Corvette. Additionally, he volunteers with the Family Matters Club, assisting with their events and programs. Quite a list of accomplishments. Yeah, what does he do in his spare time? Thank you. Yeah. So let's bring Brian up here and give them a round of applause.
Oh, that's not my chair. Oh, congratulations, Brian. It's well deserved. Really appreciate all you've done for the community. And you're right. It is this volunteers that make this such a special place. So thank you. Andrea, do we have anyone who wants to have any comments on any non-personnel issues?
We do not have any comments tonight, Mr.
All
President.
right. Well, with that, then let's go to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through C as written?
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Perfect. All right. Is Susan, I don't see Susan. Is someone doing the reserve funds transfer? All right. Well, I will do it then. It is her birthday today? Oh. She gets a night off. Normally, this is an item that is typically put in the consent agenda. And consent agenda is, things that are just kind of routine events that happen every month. They just they go by proxy, and we lump them all together because they don't require a lot of time for everyone to go through. Anything that includes a fund transfer, though, from any of our financial matters, we've elected to bring them forward out of consent to be voted upon, just out of transparency, to make sure everyone is aware anytime we're moving money or borrowing money or repaying money that we're doing that. So what is being proposed is recommended that we transfer $280,000 from the road reserve to the enterprise bank and $120,000 from capital improvement to basically to the operating funds. The reason for that is we borrowed money from the operating funds to fund activities in both the roads fund and capital improvement, and this is really more of a cash flow issue. So all the funds are there. This is really a net impact to any financial matters. It's moving money from one account to another one, and that's what is requested. So I will make the motion that we approve the reserve fund transfer. Is there a second?
You got a second.
All right. Any discussion from members? Questions? Any questions from the board? All in favor of the reserve fund transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing five in favor, motion carries.
All right. Next, we have a new individual. I don't know if I know your name. Cheryl, come on forward. Love the new haircut.
It's probably a good idea that my face you can't see how red it is considering I have a red shirt on. Okay, so good evening. Yes, the ACC committee is in need of an alternate committee member to fill the open position. So the ACC committee met on Thursday, December 19th of 2024 during their regular session and unanimously agreed to recommend San Vaccaro for the board approval to fill the alternate position. Several other applicants were invited to the ACC committee meetings during open session, but unfortunately, due to the amount of work, the meetings, and the time that the meetings were being held, they were unfortunately able to attend. Staff and committee recommend that the board of directors approve San Vaccaro as an alternate to the ACC committee.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, got a first and a second. Any comments from the members? No? Any comments or questions from the board? I'll have one. I'm impressed with Sam's background. He was in the marine and construction design and build industry for 14 years, 28 years as a business owner in gas and auto repair and so forth. So got a nice background, at least in the meetings I've sat in with ACC, a very solid individual. How long has Sam been a resident?
I want to say since, 20
20
years.
years, a
Yes.
short timer. Okay, good. Perfect. Great.
He has added quite a bit to the committee as, a guest coming in during the open session. And I know the committee and staff, we really enjoy having him there.
Yeah, I do want to commend you on your process too. I think, I believe I'm going to go on a limb and say, I think it's our hardest working committee. They meet twice a week. And their services are greatly appreciated on what they do. And so the fact that you take time, you invite people to come in and sit, you do a good job of really evaluating not only their background, but how they mesh with the team, which is always important too. So congratulations on that. All in favor of approving Stan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hearing five in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Ken, come on up.
The first one is revisions to GR 5.1 and 5.1A. These These revisions, well, first of all, these rules reflect how motor vehicles are driven around the property, driven around the POA. The language was changed to better reflect the intent of a rule for the POA versus state law and rules of the road. So there was some omissions about the state law piece. With that, it is recommended that the Board of Directors approve the 28-day reading to revise the rule associated with GR 5.1 and GR 5.1A is attached.
Thank you, Ken. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any member comments or questions you'd like to raise? All right. Any board comments or questions you'd like to bring up?
Ken, thank you for cleaning up this rule. It looks like there are some things here that we needed to remove. One is our rules and regulations. We don't follow California Driver's Handbook and anything with the DMV rules. So it was important for us to clean this up a little bit, just legal and so forth. So thanks for taking the lead on this.
My pleasure.
All right. All in favor of approving this GR 5.1 and 5.1A, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Hearing five in favor, motion carries.
All right. Next.
The next one is going to be GR 5.1F. And this rule is an existing rule that says you cannot have an open container of an alcoholic beverage while you're driving a vehicle. There's minimal change to the rule. We're primarily looking to raise the fine from $100 to $500 when that is discovered.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any member comments or questions on this item? Any board comments or questions on this item?
Yes, I'd just like to stress something. In this particular rule, there's one line that hit me, that no possession by a minor of any alcoholic beverage in a vehicle, period. That's a strong rule. I don't know if that even applies in an auto, but I like the fact that that's there and we need to control that. So thank you for whoever thought of putting that in.
That was actually in the original rule, and we left that in because it is important. But thank you.
Go ahead, Jeff.
One of the questions I have is, we talked about open containers and stuff. How is this going to be on the golf course? Because you can't play golf without a beer, not in our community. So, what sort of clarity can we get on this as far as how that goes on the golf course?
This is most about, the intent of this rule is the roadways where children are, the roadways through the community. We want people to enjoy the amenities, and we want them to be responsible in how they enjoy the amenities. I don't think this is going to be an issue because the people who would cite this would be the community patrol, and they're not out on golf course on the golf course. So enjoy your golf game, make good choices.
So is it implied or understood in this that the definition of minor is somebody under the age of 18?
Technically, the age of majority in some realms is 21, but I think you bring a good point that we should, if you can, just do a strike and change that to under 21 years of age.
So I'll make a subsidiary motion that we amend this to instead of saying no possession by a minor, no possession by anyone under 21, under the age of 21. Under 21.
Right.
Of any alcoholic beverage, open or not, in a vehicle. Is there a motion to, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I have one more
Good.
comment.
Yep.
Do you think we should define vehicle in this rule? I currently just see vehicle. The rule before had definition of what a vehicle was. This one just says vehicle. So I'm just questioning, I'm just thinking of the appeals, motor vehicle. I mean,
Get a minute to say motor vehicle. Does that scratch the itch? Motorized? Or do you want to send it back? All right. So right now, so as we stand, it's a subsidiary motion to modify it to say instead of a minor, it's anyone under the age of 21 in a motorized vehicle. Can I get a second on that?
second,
All in favor of adopting this 28-day reading as modified, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing five in favor, subsidiary motion carried.
One note on both the last item, this item, and the next item, they are all 28-day reads, so there's an opportunity for the community. If you have any comment or feedback, please give us that feedback over the next month, and these will be voted upon finally at the February 4th meeting. So with that, Ken, take us to your last item.
GR 2.20. This is, again, some language changes, but more appropriately, the rule says you cannot drive under the influence of alcohol in the community. Now, rules are to define expected behaviors, and fines are intended to persuade people to follow those rules. Currently, there is no fine for anyone who's driving under the influence of alcohol in the community. This rule adds a $1,000 fine to anybody who's arrested in the POA by law enforcement for DUI in the community. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve the 28-day reading to revise the rule on the fine associated with the GR 2.20 as attached.
We have a motion to approve this 28-day reading. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any member comments? Raise your hand, come on forward and sit at the table. Tell us your name and go from there.
I just have a quick question for you. First of all, I love and spirit what you're trying to do. We've had some tragic incidents in the last 12 months. How do you determine intoxicated?
The law enforcement community will make that determination. We've had multiple arrests in the community this past year. I'm sure you know about them. I believe most or all of them were felony DUIs, which means somebody was injured in the vehicle. With that said, if a police officer has probable cause to arrest somebody, they've made the determination that they're intoxicated. And as of right now, that's where the line is drawn. So if, unfortunately, someone is found by our deputy and is arrested for DUI and we become word of it, hopefully this will dissuade folks from doing that.
Thank you.
Is there a second hand raised? Come on forward. Okay, Kathy?
Actually, I had a question on the last one when we say in a vehicle. So I do know a lot of people sit in their golf carts and watch a parade, or they're sitting in the parking lot, not driving, but kind of hanging out in their golf cart. Is that also implying that they would go around and cite people sitting at the corner watching the parade and having an open container, not driving?
That's a great question. We've been fielding that question while we put this rule together. Most recently, we've had a DUI involving a golf cart, and when that cart crashed on somebody's front yard, open containers of alcohol spilled out. That's the situation where we're going to take action and say that's an open container. And I don't need law enforcement to tell me that that's an open can of beer. This is still, as we talk about the golf course, these are amenities. It's a beautiful place to live. Let's make good choices. Let's be grown-ups and handle this properly. And as long as everything is going the way it should, the CP is not going to go around with a site book looking for people in red Solo cups. That is for sure. Okay. We want to set these standards for the community and for safety. And hopefully these fines will dissuade people from overindulging.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member comments or questions? Well, that will turn to the board. Any board comments or questions? Jeff, you lead us off.
I have a concern, actually. Looking at this, I don't agree with it as it's written. And if you know me, you know I'm against DUIs and all this other stuff. But I think we need to address how this is written to clarify how the intoxication will be determined. I mean, we've talked about it. We all understand it. I think we need to put it in writing. There's been a lot of questions, and we just need to clarify that part. So I'm not sure if I'm wanting to make a subsidiary motion, not sure how to proceed, but I would like to see it more clearly defined.
Okay, I think we have two options. One option is if you know which change you would like to make and have that be voted upon for a 28-day reading, we can make that change now. If you don't and you want to send it back to be rewritten, that's the alternative we can do.
I would like to send it back to be rewritten because on short notice, I can't come up with a better sentence.
Yeah, Jeff, can I just give you a suggestion? As he was speaking, I made a note and it clarified it for me. And if it was added to the verbiage that's in here, any person found to be intoxicated as determined by law enforcement while operating a vehicle, whether as determined by law enforcement, which is the criteria. We're not taking the responsibility.
I agree, Joe. I think that's great. And let's make that subsidiary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, Joe. Now, so we can document this properly. Where did you make that addition? If you can read it to us.
Found to be intoxicated as determined by law enforcement while operating any vehicle, whether listed in this rule or not, on CLPOA common area will be in violation. So found to be intoxicated as determined by law enforcement.
Okay. As determined by law enforcement. Okay, any other comments or questions from the board? So we have Joe proposed a subsidiary motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the 28-day reading as modified, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. All right, the last item is revised election rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. So our background on this is in September of 2024, the Assembly bill was passed to allow the association to provide electronic voting to their members for board elections. Legal counsel has updated all of the election rules, GR.1.5 to GR.1.5H, which will allow us to have electronic voting in May of 2025. It's our recommendation that the board approve the updated election rules as attached.
Thanks, Andrea. Yes, this was a 28-day reading last month, and we're voting upon it. So is there a motion to approve the revised election rules?
Motion.
First, sounds like we have a first and a second. Any member comments or questions on this item about election rules? All right. Any board member comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll comment. As we have an election coming up, I think in elections in the past, quorum is a big problem. We have a lot of empathy in this community, and a lot of people say we need to change the way we vote and get more people to vote. And so this is an opportunity. There's no reason you can't do this on your phone in front of television, watching baseball or football or whatever's going on. So it really gives you no excuse that you can't take the time to get the vote. So we're really hoping that this will encourage more people to vote so we can hit quorum on the first round. So this is a new law. This was not available to us in the past. So we are kind of groundbreaking making this happen. So please come out and vote.
Hi, Dan Lekawap. As a follow-up to Alex's comment, do you have any stats that imply or give you a sense that you'll get a better voting participation because of the election? And then a second question that goes with that. When you set this thing up, will you allow there to be maybe just a single click button that says, I'm voting for quorum only, like you do for the paper version, to make life easiest for the people that don't even want to bother, but they want to be counted for quorum?
Correct. So HOA elections will run it just like they normally do. And then, yes, it'll be a link you'll get. You can pick either quorum or vote, how you would like to vote. And then they will have a third party who accumulates all that data. And then when our election is closed, HOA election gets all of that. And we count that just like we do here regularly for our May election. They don't have
It's
any
a brand new
stats
law
yet.
that took effect January. So
Yeah.
there are no stats. We will be part of the stats.
Yes. No, it's a new assembly bill that just came.
Yeah, if you there will be an opportunity to just vote for quorum purposes. If you don't want to vote for any of the bums, you can always check off that box. That's right. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I just like to stress too, that the thing that I dreaded most about the ballot that I got was having to worry about which envelope went where, what insert to put where, making sure that it's signed properly, and all that goes away. All you got to do is get on your computer, fill out the tablet, fill out the ballot, and hit send. So it's going to simplify it. So I'm pretty confident it's going to help increase the turnout, the voter turnout, and I look forward to it. And I hope people accept that and don't fight it. But if you're not comfortable with it, it's very easy. You just have to, when you get the notification, you have that right to opt out. You will get the paper ballot and you can go through the envelope process. So you understand.
I think the key to success in come on, Claude, while you're coming up, I'll speak. The key to success like this is the same as it was before. Is the key to before was you had to open your mail. On this one, you need to check your email and do it. And so to the extent all of our members do that, it should make it easier. Claude.
Claude Beauchamp, sorry, but I'm the proverbial cost guy. So do we have estimates on, is there a cost savings doing this versus what we've been doing traditionally? About the same, really? So no, so it's flat.
That will change in time because it's a new law, and we're actually one of the organizations that's leading following this very quickly, and it's a new law. So the inspector of elections is the one that is doing the transition as well. So during this transitionary period, it's about the same. However, depending on how many people participate electronically versus by mail in the future, we anticipate that there will be a reduction in cost.
Okay, thanks.
Just to reiterate what Bill said earlier, the inspector for the elections will be here at the next board meeting. Any Q&A, any comments, jokes, insults, whatever you got, he'll be here. Come to the meeting, ask him, make him earn his pay. So he will be here and we can cover the whole thing. But as I said, this is a state law. So we will be going this direction sooner or later. We opted to do it sooner.
Hi, Bill Medved. You're not done with me yet. Great idea. Love it. I think it's just where we need to go. One question I do have, though, is this is for both candidates and for new, like investments, let's say. I would ask that you put a link to the POA page on the investments that give people a highlight about what's going on, put that particular investment so they can quickly go and say, oh, you want me to spend $1 million on XYZ, push the link here, goes to the POA page and tells you all about XYZ.
Okay, to the extent that that's a ballot item, it's certainly possible.
Okay.
To the extent it's a ballot item, we can have additional information.
I think we can ask the HOA election to do that, but I don't know that they would get involved in that. I know we have an election page on our website, but we can try to refer that to the election page to put all that information on there for you.
So this was alluded to earlier. I think we all want this to be successful. We have various levels of technical awareness in our community, and I just want to make it easy for them any way we can. And I'll leave that to you, but I'll just bring that up as an observation.
Okay, thanks for your comment. Okay, all in favor of approving the revised election rules, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Perfect. With that, board liaison committee reports. Jeff? Because most of our committee, many of our committees were dark in December.
Yeah, don't
Anything to
really
add?
have a lot.
Okay.
The FPC is evaluating where to put some signs as far as blocking intersections, vehicles just blinding the line of sight. Other than that, most of them been dark. And as you know, I was out sick last month, so I didn't get to hang out with all my buddies at the committees.
You missed it, yeah.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is, right? But that's about it right now at the FPC.
Yeah, the Tuesday work group worked through December. They had 317 man hours just working on Tuesdays. They completed the plaque installation on the golf course. They came out beautiful. I want to really thank them for their effort on that. It was quite a challenge, quite a job. On January 13th, the course is closed for maintenance, but they're having a sand divot party. If you'd like to participate, just show up at the golf maintenance yard at 8:00 on Monday, January 13th. They'll have donuts and coffee, and you can help them fill divots around the golf course. Green Committee was dark for the January meeting. They'll be back February 13th at the Magnolia Room at 1:00. That's an open meeting. You're more than welcome to come in and participate and share your thoughts. Not a committee report, but I'm also a member of the CLAPS, which is the past presidents for the Men's Golf Club. We do a lot of good things on the golf course. We run the CLAPS Beautification Tournament, which is coming up April 26th. It's a Saturday. And at this particular tournament, we'll be auctioning off the old bronze plaques that came off the golf course. They've been refurbished. They look brand new. Unfortunately, we reconfigured the holes, so we had to replace the plaques. And I have to say the CLAPS were also responsible working with the POA on a 50-50 split on the cost of the new plaques. So we'll be auctioning those off on the tournament on April 26th. And those proceeds will also go back into the beautification fund, which will go back into the golf course. So thank you. That's my report.
All right, I'm the liaison to the Security Advisory Committee. They are working on rolling out a neighborhood watch program. So stay tuned for news on that. We've been coordinating with the city, and that'll be coming out in the next quarter. So stay tuned for that. And then also I'm on the senior advisory or senior working group. They had both their Christmas party and their New Year's Eve event. Both were outstanding successes, and they want to thank everyone in the community that participated. Right?
So my committee, the Recreation Committee, was not dark in December, but I was out of town. So I'm going to just give you some what happened in their notes.
Where were you?
From where was I?
Where were you?
I was way down south in Antarctica. Quite a trip. Let's see. There were discussions at the last meeting at the rec committee about trees and a cornhole court at Sunset Beach, and it was decided that no one was quite sure where the cornhole court should be, so they elected to do a field trip, which I'm not sure that's occurred or not, but go down there as a group and scout the area and see where the best place for cornhole could be recommended. Golf field at long last is getting the love that it's overdue. Probably there's a lot of big projects and small projects at golf that are being considered, and there's actually 3 groups involved in that decision-making process and prioritization. That's the board, the rec committee, and FPC in coordination with each other. One of the big things about golf that's really lacking now is the lighting. Of course, there's LEDs now, which are far superior, and but they cost a lot of money. So those types of things are being discussed. One of the things we accomplished a few months ago, we were talking about the swimming paths at Happy Camp down to the water, and sure enough, those were approved. And actually, the not the paths themselves yet, but the guardrails marking the 2 paths down to the 2 swimming areas have been installed. And finally, at Happy Camp, they're talking about a DG project. Now, Happy Camp. Some people say the condition of the ground there is kind of like the Flintstones driveway. There's a lot of rocks and it's kind of rough, especially if you're in your bare feet. So a DG project at Happy Camp would really be nice and smooth out that surface. That's going to cost a lot of money as well, but it's on the table and being discussed. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I sit on, sorry, my voice, sit on the appeals committee. One thing I want to do is just congratulate Brian Wood. He runs that committee really, really well. And it's not the easiest of committees when people come in here and, want you to appeal a ticket or whatever. So Brian does a really good job. So congratulations to him tonight. I also sit on the rules committee, which we were dark last month. We're continuing to work on revising rules and trying to shorten the document. We have a goal of, 100 pages where it's 170 pages right now in rules. So we're continually doing that, and we're getting close to being finalized that, and that'll come in front of the board.
Thanks, guys. All right, we'll keep going in a straight line. Eric, can you give us the general manager's report?
Thank you guys for coming, those of you who have stayed. As I think Bill mentioned, we're deep in our budget reviews. And Bill also mentioned we have a lot of financial headwinds this year. I like that literally and figuratively today. Our insurance alone went up 38% this year. I'm personally spending a lot of time with our managers, looking for ways to cut costs and lower the potential subsidy increase this year. Our managers are also going to be meeting with the finance committee. 2 members are here tonight. Thanks, guys. And thank you to the finance committee for all the time you guys are spending. So a couple other reasons other than the insurance increase. We spent a lot of money on our roads over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I think off the top of my head, we did a $3 million parking lot project. We did a $6 million year 1 project. We did an $8 million year 2 project. We're looking at doing $3 million in year 3. Well, all those millions of dollars that we had in our road reserve funds in the bank, we're no longer earning interest on those millions. And so the revenue coming into our accounting department alone from the interest on all of those millions, we're missing now because we're spending that money fixing up our 55-year-old roads and our 55-year-old community in general. So anyway, a lot of time and effort being spent right now on our budget. And as Bill said, the budget workshop is February. I wrote it down and I don't know what happened to it. 18th at 6:00. So hope to see you all here. Let's see, where was I? Bill also mentioned that we're making a conversion from Dwelling Live, has absolutely horrendous customer service to us in the 8 years I've been here. And we talked with many other community managers who also use Dwelling Live, and there haven't been a lot of options in the market. But we had a picked a subcommittee of all IT guy, security, operations, member services, and they interviewed 4 or 5 companies, and we picked Go Access, and we think it's going to be a great transition. So just watch social media, watch the newsletter, and we'll give you some transition dates. But we're looking forward to a better customer experience and better administrative experience for reporting wise, and just dwelling live has never been a great solution for gated communities, and we're pretty excited about that. As usual, I like to refer everybody to the staff reports and the printed agenda. This month, operations is working on scoreboards and lighting improvements at Galt Field. Also in the operations report are some other summaries of what the committees are doing. The board does a pretty good job of touching on that now, which hasn't always been the case, but there's some more detail in the operations report. And I started writing on 2 pads. And I think that's all I have tonight. I just want to say Happy New Year and thanks for coming.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, we'll finish up with board comments. We'll go the other way. Alex, you're up first.
Happy New Year. I missed last board meeting, so I want to recognize what POA staff did and decorations throughout the community. From Sean and Happy Camp, great little thing. Had Santa down there. If you want your picture taken, with down there in Happy Camp, to the front gate. Christmas tree lighting here. I don't think we've ever had a star at the top before, so there's a lot of little things that were really awesome. This community rocks. You drive around, you see all the Christmas lights, you see all the decorations. It just makes you proud to live here. And me being a past Mustang Court guy, I did put a lot of effort, 18 years on that street of putting Christmas lights up. I'm a little glad I moved, I'll be honest with you, but good job for you guys. White Wake, you guys killed it again. So there's I think Pinto was another good street. Mustang was really good. So just thank you guys for putting all that effort in. I know how much effort it takes. So thank you. But so I wanted to thank that. I also, Bill mentioned and Eric just mentioned too, there's a lot of notifications and things that are going to be coming out to you guys in the next couple of weeks. You guys reach out, tell your clubs, tell everybody, engage in these things, because there's a lot of things. The Go Access it possibly could be a game changer for us as and the staff to with reporting, AI features. There's a lot of things here that we can be much better at our gates due to this. And also the election coming up with the voting. So just be aware of all the stuff that's coming your way. And I just want to say, it's really, this is normally not a real busy board meeting, first of the month in January, but thank you. There's a lot of you guys, committee members and everybody, you guys are here. So I really, really appreciate you guys. It makes our job more fun when there's more people here. So thank you. Happy New Year, guys.
So I was away, as I mentioned a minute ago, for Christmas and New Year's. And so I'm in the enviable position today and the past few days since I got back on Saturday of seeing people that I hadn't seen during the holidays and being able to say Happy New Year. So I'm going to say that to all of you and all of you out there watching and listening. Happy New Year from me. I do want to say I did a little cheating and looked at my email and social media when I was in Antarctica. And the one thing that many things struck me, but one of them was related to what Alex said, which was the POA Christmas decorations on our common areas, the main gate and the causeway, were absolutely outstanding this year. And in fact, they were so good that people were sending the board unsolicited notifications saying, wow, you guys did a great job on these decorations. And I couldn't agree more. It was really something to see. So once again, Happy New Year to you all. And I look forward to a great year. Thank you.
And by the record, we don't get very many positive emails. So it was like Christmas presents for all of us. Thank you.
So Greg, tell me, how did you get Wi-Fi access in Antarctica? That's what I want to know.
those cruise ships, those of you that have been on them, they have pretty terrible Wi-Fi. And even when you get, we have free Wi-Fi. Oh, but for $500, you can upgrade. And even when you upgrade, it's horrible. This ship that I was on, which was the brand was Viking, had outstanding Wi-Fi all over the ship included in the package. So it was wonderful.
Joe?
Well, I'm really excited about all the things that are going on right now. Of course, we finished the holidays and we're into the new year, and the decorations were outstanding and absolutely incredible. I've never, ever, my 30-some years here, have seen the community decorated this nicely, not only by the POA and the entrances and the causeways and medians, but the homeowners did an outstanding job as well. So all those I want to thank, and operations especially for their great job in our community. I'm excited about the electronic election option for the community. I think it's going to be a real plus. I want to stress that the February 4th date, for any of you that have any questions or any concerns, please come to the February 4th open session board meeting, and HOA representative will be here to field your questions. So please feel free to come in and share your concerns. Go Access is going to be our new vendor for entry access, and I'm excited about that. I know it's been, I've been very frustrated with Dwelling Live, with my personal experiences with them. They stopped texting notifications. They stopped emailing notifications. There were issues putting family members into for passes. And I know that if all of you are having those similar problems, you were probably thinking the POA has got problems, and we certainly did. But it wasn't the POA's, other than the fact that that's a vendor of ours. It wasn't our staff that was causing those problems. But it was our staff that did the research over the last number of months that found this company, Go Access. We just reviewed a lot of their business practices and operation methods. And I'm excited that they're going to come in and make life so much easier for us when we go to call in our family members and guests. The last thing is the member survey. I heard tonight it's going to be an electronic survey, which is I wasn't aware of, but that's great. And that'll just make it easier for everybody to respond. This is important for us to hear what you guys want to see in the community. And that's the message that I want to get out, that we know what ideas we have amongst the board, and we talk at executive session, but we want to hear what you guys have in mind and what you'd like to see, both short-term and long-term. So please participate in that survey and respond to that. So that's my report. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Well, one of the disadvantages of going towards the end is all the Happy New Years. So y'all had 3 Happy New Years already. So I'm probably not going to go there because Bill will throw in a 4th one for me. Yeah, and the lights, everything, it was great. It was nice. And we did get some compliments, which was nice to hear, because as Alex said, we get a lot of complaints, a lot of negativity. So to piggyback on the Dwelling Live comments, the POA staff heard everyone when it came to the issues of Dwelling Live. It wasn't a POA issue. It was our software supplier, our Dwelling Live company that was not responsive. Our POA staff addressed that issue and fixed it. So for all the complaints, I would like people to know that these guys are on top of things. Things don't always happen overnight, especially with the software switchover and evaluation, all that comes with it. So I would actually like to thank the POA staff for what they've done and put in the hard work to make this happen. And although people don't like change, I think you'll be happy with it once you get used to it. So in addition to that, I'd also like to mention that the budget workshop is coming up. The Finance Committee, I didn't mention this in the committee report because we're kind of going off in the budget season, so there's a little bit more. Finance Committee's been working really hard. They've got a lot more work to do. They're just getting started. We've got a budget workshop coming up. I would encourage everyone to come to the budget workshop. There's been some things floating around online about how much it's going to be or not going to be. There's no number yet. My crystal ball is broken. I believe these guys don't have a crystal ball either. So we don't know what the future holds until the Finance Committee, which is made up of qualified volunteers with financial backgrounds. Many of them have been CFOs at companies and they know what they're doing. They're reviewing everything. We'll be looking at this over the next few months. So I just want to address some of the online rumors. So in addition to that, I would like to thank our community patrol for monitoring the school buses. And we know as we're going into the new year, where kids are back in school, the buses here in the community, they're following them. I just want to remind everybody, keep an eye out for the kids, keep an eye out for the school buses. You don't need to go racing around past them. 1 minute isn't going to kill you, but it could hurt a kid that's crossing the street. So keep that in mind. I also wanted to point out on the e-bike issue, I don't know if you guys are aware there's an e-bike issue here. We aren't here just to enforce and chase people down. We have a rewards program. The kids that comply, the kids that do what they're supposed to do, they should be rewarded. And we have a program to do that. So when we see the kids and they've got their little ID tag on the back of their bike tucked away so you can't see it, it's their loss because they're not getting the gift card. And they might get pulled over for doing that. I was a dumb kid too. I had a little Enduro 125. I rode it in neighborhoods. It was a lot louder than an e-bike. Actually, my buddy and I did that. The police stopped us, made us walk the bikes home. And these were motorcycles, so they were loud. So I get where they're coming from, but the reality is the world today is more crowded. This is a small community. They're wearing dark clothes. They're out at night. So just be aware of this. Keep an eye out for these guys. And understand when you talk to them or run across them, let them know there's a rewards program for being a good kid. The opposite end of that, I was watching a kid going down Canyon Lake Drive out towards the East Gate, had a passenger on the bike. Community Patrol's got the light and siren going, and they're following them, and they're not chasing them. They're only doing 20 miles an hour, and I know this because I was stuck behind them. The kids just kept going. They ignored them. And so they get out of the gate and they turn around and do the, ha, I'm out here, you can't do anything. Well, you also, for those of you listening or talking to other people, just to let you know, there's cameras at those gates. So, you're on candid camera and we know who you are. So you might want to let people know, let these kids know that we see it. We don't have to pull you over. We've got your picture. We've got your information. So just cooperate. Be a decent human being, treat the community patrol guys nice, and you'll get rewarded for it instead of punished for it. So that's really about all the rambling I have for tonight. There is a Cars and Coffee coming up with the Car Club on Saturday. I will tell you only the cool people go to that. So if you qualify, feel free to show up at Sierra Park at 8 in the morning. There's coffee and donuts. And I think that's really the end of all that. I wanted to make sure I went longer than Greg for once.
Thank you. Thank you, I think, Jeff. I've spoken a lot already. I only have one additional comment, and that is, again, January 2025, new year, new laws take effect. There's a new California law that makes it very clear which electric bikes are legal and which are illegal. And so we're going to have to be going through with our rules committee and other things. It actually tightens things up. A number of e-bikes that were sold in prior years are no longer legal. Anything that goes more than 20 miles an hour or 28 miles an hour when pedaled is anything that goes more than that is no longer allowed. So you can't throttle beyond 20 miles an hour without pedaling. So there's going to be some changes. Keep an eye on it. It allows us, the good news is our committee did a great job looking ahead with very little information, and we got it, I'd say 90% right. This makes it even better for us as the laws kind of catch up with us. So more to come on that. Stay tuned. But if you haven't seen it, go look up online, the new California law on e-bikes. With that, I want to add my Happy New Year, as Jeff suggested. Thank you all for showing up, and we will see you February 4th. Good night. Oh, wait, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.